Hello, everybody. Welcome to a different kind of five-hole fantasy hockey podcast. Today, I am beta testing the Draft Companion dashboard. Pretty excited to announce this one. If you're in the Discord, there have been whispers from me, so not just rumors or anything, that I've been building a draft tool this summer, and I've spent the last month working this one out. And I'm going to give it a beta test today and run sort of a kind of like a tutorial so that if anybody wants to use it in their draft season this upcoming season, feel free to do so. Now, what you see on the board right now, if you're watching on YouTube, is projection sources that you're going to be like, oh, Cullens isn't out today. Why is Dom up here? This is all from last year. So I just wanted to test that. I had to build a CSV to database kind of like pipeline. So I needed Dom does his projections one way, Cullen does his another way. I needed something that would level the field and everything needed to be the same. So it kind of does like a fuzzy match, right? So, Dom might do shots and then Cullen does shots on goal. So it needs to be able to identify those columns and then put it into the same column in the database so that everything kind of like goes together. So that way different projection styles and different Google Sheets and stuff like that could all be filtered down into one way so that it worked with this tool. But basically the short story of that is like everything that's live right now on the website. So if you try to go to this URL on the FHFhockey.com website, everything's loaded with last year's projection data. And also, I want to start off this episode by saying there will not be paid projections imported into this tool. So that's very important to know. It's only going to be free projections. Anything behind a paywall, you can import yourself. And I'm going to walk us through how to do that so that you have an idea of what you need to do if you're going to be importing your own projections as well. So there is an import CSV over here, but I wanted to give you guys an idea of how to do that. So Datsuk to Zetterberg and Apples and Genos are the only free projections that are out right now. So I was going to use those to, God, there's a fly down here. Sorry. I was going to use those as kind of like a step-by-step tutorial to give you an idea of how to import your own projections. And then over here, you can also edit the weights. Like say, you want to give Cullen twice as much weight as the others, you can slide these and then it normalizes to 100%. So you don't have to like do math or anything like that. So everything always equals out to 100%. And then goalies are limited because you don't have, Cullen skaters don't have goalie projections. Apples and Genos doesn't do goalie projections. DTZ does, Cullen does, and Dom and Shayna do. So there's limited goalie sources. At least there was last year. So let's get into what you need to do to import your own. So what I did is here in the DTZ one, go to the skater projections. You're going to have to do the same thing for the goalie projections as well. File, download, CSV. And then it uploads to here. And then you can open your downloads folder. And what I'm going to do just to test out the database, make sure that it's working, I'm going to do a live database test here as well. So I'm already logged in to the admin site here. So I'll do to the DB. This is not publicly accessible for you guys, so you can't see it. Why is the CSV thing gone? All right, I'll figure that out next time. So we're going to do a live import of a CSV. So you can take your downloaded projections here, and then you get to name your columns, but they have to, so it maps the headers that are in the CSV, and then it tries to guess what category they should go into. And you have to go through these, stat by stat, metric by metric to make sure that everything matches. So if you're going to be using the draft dashboard here, you want to set it up probably like 30 minutes before your actual draft, because there's a little bit of like curating that you need to do. This is not something that you can just open the same time as like first overall is going. So to import the your own, like, DOMs, I'm not going to preload DOMs into this. There is going to be free projections already preloaded, and you'll be able to like turn them off, turn them on, and adjust the weightings as you like. But here, yeah, so player name, that's how the column here. So that's right here, right? That's mapping this column to the player name database thing. So just make sure that's all matching. Team abbreviation, salary, even strength, right? So you're going to go down, and then at the bottom, it gives you the first 50 rows just to make sure that everything looks how you'd expect. Face-offs right here, face-offs lost. And as soon as you're happy with the way that it looks, you import it as DTZ. Well, you import it as whatever you want to name it. DTZ 2025. So add a source, and it comes in right here, right? So then you edit the weights how you want them to be weighted. You can normalize it so everything is back to normal, and then you give everything pretty much even weights: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So everything should be around 18%. Yeah, let's just, there we go. We can just weight it. That's fine. Whatever. So then it'll automatically blend the projection sources down here and have everything come together as kind of like a aggregate. And then what's also pretty neat too is that way you don't have to be messing around in Google Sheets and do all of your own kind of stuff too, is that if you want to export, you can do that. And it'll just throw blended projections at you too. So it'll take everything that is imported, the aggregate there. I don't know why it's taking so long here. Check the logs. Here, we'll check the logs together, guys. Let's see what it looks like, huh? So that's just my build right here. That was an old build. All right, let's just restart the server because I've been having this one run for a while. And then we'll all right. So we'll open up the local host again, and we'll go right back here. Actually, I might even just be able to do it. Yep. Okay. So actually, that brings up another good point is let's say you're already like 10 picks in, right? So you don't want to lose your spot. You can save your spot. All right, we're just going to go to a different one. There we go. So DTZ 2025. I don't know why that's giving me trouble, but like I said, this is a beta test, guys. So if bugs pop up, things like that, we're going to be able to fix it later on. But I want to know what is going on. Man, here I was. I spent all morning making sure it was okay. I was like, all right, I guess it's probably time to do a tutorial video to figure out how it's working. All right, let's just do it from the live thing. So instead of the local host. All right. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, the export bit. But let's say, you're 10 picks into the draft, and then you all of a sudden accidentally click something. Oh no. So if you navigate away and then navigate back towards, what I've done is figured out like local memory for your machine and things like that. It saves it to like cookies and things like that, so you can restore the draft to where it was, just in case you accidentally navigate away and then want to come back. So, and then, since that was all bullshit, we can reset the draft. Let me walk you through the dashboard here a little bit. I did, like I said, I was throwing this out in the fantasy hockey Discord, 5-hole Discord. If you guys want to check that out, there's going to be updates. You can make suggestions or requests for this. I got a couple of them. Like one gentleman wanted just forwards instead of like left wing, right wing, center. So we went for, you can curate for forwards or the Kluru, center, left wing, right wing. If you're in a keeper league, this is what I spent the last few days doing, is installing logic for keeper leagues and for traded picks as well. So if you're in a league where, you've traded picks and you don't own, let's say, pick one of round 4 because you traded that for whatever, you can import those. But let's go through a few of the neat little things here. So for this, let's just say I'm drafting first. You can name your teams here. So as like, there's no drag and drop functionality. So if you're picking 6, just put your team name into the 6th spot. But just for the sake of ease here, I'm going to do this. And for some reason, if you navigate away, it doesn't save it. So you do have to hit enter when it comes to this. So I'm just going to do a bunch of different names here. All right. Let's just do guy 2. I'm running out of things to call people, just random misnomers and stuff. Dude 2, buddy 2. And if you have like, 14 team leagues, whatever, this tool supports 2-team leagues all the way up to 40-team leagues. So if you have all that, go for it. It also has league types for points for categories. This really, all this does is changes how the VORP and VBD, value-based drafting, and VONA, value over next available, how all 3 of those are calculated. So for categories, it's taking into the multi-cat, how well balanced somebody is, how dominant they are in one, if they're, if the seesaw is leaning too much the one way or whatever. So that this right here, points and categories, the only real difference is that it changes the way the VORP is calculated. For your roster positions, things like that, center, left wing, right wing, or forward. This one still does need a little bit of work because I noticed that when I click forward, it didn't change down here. And it also doesn't open up a just F thing, which is how I'd like it to be. And to when you switch to forward for CLW, CLR here to disappear, and then a forward one just to pop up. So this panel, this roster spots panel, is going to determine how many rounds you have. So your roster needs to add up to the amount of rounds. It's how your draft is going to work. So everything that's loaded in scoring wise, roster wise, is all 5-hole standard. So we do 2 of each: center, left wing, right wing, 4D, 2 goalies, 4 bench, and a utility. If you don't have any of these, you can just go down to 0 or whatever. If you have more utility, etc. Bigger bench, fine. You can do that. So you can change the scoring here and anything. So when you're adding scoring categories, this is a bug I have not been able to figure out. Be careful, because right here in skaters, and I'm going to work on this, so maybe it won't matter if you're watching this video, but as soon as you hit add a stat the first time, when it's like a brand new thing, it automatically adds shorthanded points for some reason, and I don't know why. So just be careful of that. So if you don't have shorthanded points when you first hit add stat, it's going to automatically do it, but you can X out. So like, say you don't use blocks, you can X out of blocks. But if you want to add any of these, if it is available in one of the projection sources, so say you use average time on ice, right? And all the projection sources, nobody projects for average time on ice. Average time on ice is not going to be available here. So if it's available in any projection source as a skater category, it will be available here. Same thing for the goalie situation. Like if, anything that's projected for a goalie is going to be available from this drop down. So what you can do is you can add, let's say games played, and then you change the value. This is a UI thing that I need to figure out. It overflows. Again, the skeleton's okay. I just need to worry about the makeup. So yeah, you can add games played to the scoring, and then it automatically recalculates the projected fantasy points, etc. And then you get rid of it and it projects back down. So it works just like that. Let's talk about keepers and traded picks. So this drop down here is going to take all of the team names that you've added, and you want to click on the owner of the traded pick. So let's say this team dog, he is picking 7th. And what I would have liked to have done but didn't do is, like, if let's say I'm picking 1st and I traded for, pick 2, or so it goes round and then pick. So round 4, pick 2. It works like that. So right here is a traded pick. Round 4, pick 2. And it works because at the top you can do linear or snake, standard or snake, even though snake is kind of the standard. So you can load in your traded picks like that. And if you accidentally get one wrong, you just hit remove. Keepers, you can set keepers. Let's do Kucherov. And one thing that you have to do here, I know not everybody does I'm keeping 5 players and they all have to be kept in the first 5 rounds or whatever. Or not everybody assigns a round to their keepers. But if you have a 17 spot roster and you have 5 keepers, that means your draft is going to be 12 rounds long. So it won't let you just add a player as a keeper. You do have to put a round and a pick into it. So that way, number one, it knows skip that pick. Also remove Kucherov, which is who I picked, if anybody was just listening, as my first keeper. And it removes them from the available player list so that Kucherov can't accidentally be drafted twice. But we're not going to do a keeper demo here, so we're just going to go to no. But that was just a brief overview. You can do traded picks, you can do keepers, and so if you don't assign a round and stuff like that, just put them in. If you have 5 keepers, just put them in your first 5 rounds, because it was just too much to shorten the draft to 12. So just do it. There are some bugs that I'm still working out. Somebody in the Discord told me that they cannot find Kirill Marchenko, and I don't know why. So I'm going to figure that out. So number one, this tool is not live to be used because it's still using last year's projections, but I wanted to get this video out there so that when it is completely 100% ready to go and preloaded with free projections and things like that, that you guys are prepared. And if I put this video out now, this is part of why I want to do this, is maybe you guys get curious. Maybe and please do run this alongside some mock drafts that you're doing, because I want to know everything that's messed up with it. If you can't find a Kirill Marchenko, let me know. If there's things in here where if Evgeny Malkin his cell isn't colored for some reason, and there's different guys who just Elias Pettersson, Sebastian Aho, they're fucking trouble because there's 2 of them. So I need to there's 2 Sebastian Ahos, one's a defenseman. There's 2 Petterssons, one's a defenseman. So I need to figure out why Vorp isn't calculating for Elias Lindholm, why it's not calculating for Malkin. And maybe it's just that ADP was not accounted for. I'm going to iron out all these things. This is what I'm going to be doing over the next week is figuring out all this stuff. So any bugs that you find while testing it, please let me know. But also at this point, please don't. And actually, I think I just found a bug because I removed a keeper but it still went to pick number 2. And it doesn't give me the option to reset draft. So there's a bug. I'll write that down. All right. So the next few things that I want to tell you guys about, these suggested picks. So this one you can sort by how you like. If you want to go by highest VORP, value over replacement player, you can do that. Where like here, projected fantasy points, Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon go 1 and 2. Nikita Kucherov is ranked higher than McKinnon by VORP from last year's projections and things like that. The right wing really plays into it. Yeah. So you can draft them from here. You can draft them from here, which is how I like to do it is I use this. There's also, you can search player here if you want to, and it'll add to your roster. So what I'm going to be doing in this video, outside of just this, is also running through hopefully a mock draft. I've already ran into 3 bugs in the live thing here. So let's see if I can get to a mock draft, because there might be too many issues with what's going on. So I'm going to try once again to import the DTZ rankings here. I don't know what that is. So maybe that's what it was, because I don't have these columns in my database. Yeah, let's just run with that. So it could also be that, okay, so that one did work. That's good. So now the DTZ 2025 is working. The players have been updated. There are 2 Connor McDavids. That's a problem. There are 2 Nathan McKinnons. All right. So you guys are watching live debugging happen. Let's edit these weights. Let's see what it looks like if I just do DTZ 2025. And because then there should only be 1. McDavid. No, there's still 2. So interesting. All right. So we'll figure that out in time. So, but what I want to do right now is take it through maybe a mock draft. We'll try that. So let's reset the draft. See, now DTZ is still in there. That's another bug. Now I reset the draft via just a hard reset here. So maybe let's do a hard reload. No, he's still in. So there's going to be 2 Connor McDavids. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Sorry about the dead air here, guys. Okay. So I just opened it up in a different window. But it's good because, running through this, full scale thing, like, I've been working on just this panel and the logic behind just this stuff and the import CSV and that stuff. But I've never really done it as a full, from the point of the user. So this is good that I'm running through this, doing a little beta test. But what we've done so far is I told you kind of how the team setups work. You can name your teams. You can pick your spot in the draft. So if you're picking 6th, you want to line yourself up with the 6th player here. And then as the draft goes on, this is going to be, you're going to be doing it in tandem with your draft. So this doesn't have connectivity with Yahoo. It's not going to auto update for you. You're going to be doing everything manually. Now, the inspiration behind this was our buddy Jeff, FHFH. He also runs NHL Trade Alert. He does fantasy hockey logos if you want to hit him up, for your team logo, things like that. But Jeff has been keeping the FHP draft kit up to date and things like that. And I wanted to do something because back in the day, the FHP draft kit was invaluable. The issue I had with it is you had to, flip between tabs to see the leaderboard, to see projected picks, to import your settings, and to see the best players and things like that. So that inspired me to have just kind of this one page fits all draft board dashboard that I think covers pretty much all those bases too. So this down here, don't worry about this too much. This is just a draft graph that shows how the draft is progressing. Here, which is pretty neat, I think it gives you more value. Like this column here, the projected points will update as players get drafted, and you'll be able to see like how you rank by way of like projected points, and you can pick what column you want to sort by. So like in a categories league, right? So if you're starting to fall behind a little bit in goals, if you want to keep yourself pretty well balanced, then I think you can sort by goals, and then you can really start to curate your team that way. And that kind of thing. So if you want to see how you rank and everything, and I think one thing that would be nice, let me write this down too, is if each was like color coded. You want to see where you rank. So if you're, first in goals, then it'll be green, and then like different shades of orange and yellow and red to see. You want to make sure you have a well-balanced team. You don't want to be too heavy in one category and fall behind in others. You want to be able to compete in every single one in a categories league. But if you're in a points league, you just want to make sure you have the highest amount of projected points. So right here, no surprise, team 1 who has 3 picks and the rest who don't, they're falling behind. So now why isn't this? Oh, okay. That's because it's sorted like that. So if I sort by number or whatever, yeah. So that's that. Let's reset the draft. This does drop down so that everything's kind of all in one spot, because that was my main goal, and it became harder and harder as I was building the project here. Is I wanted everything to be like in view in just one screen. I didn't want people to have to do a bunch of scrolling back and forth. I wanted everything to be very dashboard-esque. And that's how it works. I like to use it at 90% zoom. You guys can change it however you like, but let's just do it in 100. So that way it's mostly native and can be curated as you see fit. So let's run through, let's do a 12 team. Looking for points, but I don't think head-to-head points really mock draft. All it says head-to-head, roto. I guess roto would be points. No 12 team roto. So let's try this one. I'll draft from the 7th. So draft dashboard. This is where things will get a little funky because I haven't tested this out with being half screen as far as what it's going to look like. All right, so this is what you're pretty much going to be running, or like I have 2 screens, but right now it doesn't allow me to do 2 screens. I don't like the way this is set up in a half screen setting. So I'll be able to change this too, because, well, I guess you could do it from the roster thing, but I just wish the available players was up higher, because I think the most value is right here where you see the projected VORP, you see the ADP, which as Yahoo gets their ADPs in, I have programs that scrape the ADPs every night, that update the ADPs. You can import ADP. I think actually I might throw like Keep and Carlson has been doing their mock drafts. I can throw the KK ADP in there, the 5-hole ADP as well, and just give you more nuance, I think, and also take it with a grain of salt, because our 5-hole drafts are based on 5-hole scoring. Kick-up-hole drafts are based on kick-up-hole scoring. So if you're not playing in a league that aligns with either of those scorings, the ADP is going to be a little off. And the same thing goes for, Yahoo standard. If all the Yahoo ADP that's coming in is going to be, what do you call it? Like based on the rankings and the scoring for Yahoo, then your ADP is going to be a little off. So run that. I haven't done a public mock draft in Yahoo, so I don't know. Hopefully, the draft room just automatically sets up. So we got CJD drafting at 1. What's the other guy's name? All I see is MIC, so let's just call him MIC. Tony's at 4. I'm at 7. So then also make sure you set yourself to team 7. And GRA at 11. And nobody else. Draft is now loading. So as draft picks get announced, I don't know. I kind of want this to be full screen. So this will work best for you if you're doing, oh, you know what? And this is categories, isn't it? And a 16 team roster. So let's do some quick editing. 2G, no utility. So let's just ditch the utility spot real quick. And I don't have like plus minus or anything set up, but we're just going to let it ride. I'm pretty sure that's the standard the scoring here. Yeah, plus minus. Get out of here. All right. So you're not going to be able to set a queue with the draft dashboard, but you shouldn't need to. Your queue is going to be over here. This is more or less just to give you some insight that you don't get just based on your brain. So minute 34. I guess I could do the VORP for categories. And oh, neat. Yeah. So that actually, I'm gonna write that down too. So I want to add categories for category leagues. You need to be able to add scoring, which I do not have logic for. So it's a good thing we're running a categories league draft, eh? Sorry, I'm just writing some notes on the debugging. One of them is just Kirill Marchenko, question mark. All right, here we go. 10 seconds. All right. 30 seconds per draft. So McDavid went. I'm sure Draisaitl will go. Well, Kucherov or McKinnon. Where'd McKinnon go? Okay, there you are. Oh my god. All right, McKinnon, Draisaitl, Kucherov, Cheech. All this stupid shit. All right, McKinnon, Draisaitl, Kucherov. Where'd Makar go? There you are. So here tells me that Matthews would be the best pick. And says Pasta. And I think I'm going to take Matthews. Oh my god. What the hell did I do? Oh my fuck. God damn it. Hopefully I took Matthews. I took Pasta. Stupid. All right, so what I was trying to do, here we go. So that button wasn't available to me in half screen. So I'm gonna have to look for that. So um running back 30-second clock is fucking brutal for this. But that's basically how you want to keep up with the draft here. If you want to sort the suggested picks by position, you can do that. You can combine suggested picks too. So if you want to look at center and left wing, if you want to look at just skaters, you click all those. You have to unclick. There's no like reset button for any of that. Let's see. This one says I should take a goalie. Probably not. If it's just Thurkin, I think Hellebuck would be the guy. Um, let's go with Darlene. Gotta get me a D. All right, so I'm not able to keep up with a 30-second draft. In like if I was running two screens, I think maybe, but yeah, it's just a little tough here. So my main goal for this was to provide more of a tutorial on how the draft companion dashboard is going to work and what benefits it could bring to you, things like that. All right, everybody's going to be mad because I'm going to fucking ditch this. Let's go Hagel, and then I'm gonna fucking bounce. Bye. But yeah, Yahoo mocks are kind of a pain in the ass. If you want to, the 5-hole mocks, we're filling those. Slow drafts is what we've been doing. You guys can hop in any one of those, and check it out. I've been giving out Dauber Hockey Ultimate Draft kits to whoever finishes the slow draft with the fastest draft time. So if you want to get in on the mocks, you can have a little bit of fun. Join the Fantasy Hockey Discord. I'll edit the Discord link into the description on YouTube. But yeah, I'm super excited about this draft companion dashboard. I hope you guys kind of enjoy it, that you use it, that before draft season, that we can iron out all these bugs together. It's going to be free for this year. I'm thinking maybe it'd be a good time to start making money in this fantasy hockey space. So maybe I'll paywall some shit next year, but for the first year, I just want to iron out all the bugs and make sure I'm not charging anybody money for something that doesn't even work. So yeah, make use of it. I think it's going to be a really fun tool. If there are suggestions or features that you'd like to see, feel free to reach out to me, on Twitter at FHF Hockey or in the Fantasy Hockey Discord. That Discord is honestly the best way to get in touch with me, because I guess Twitter right now, like, it's not sending me updates. If somebody messages me, I don't get a push notification. If somebody, tweets at us or something like that, there's no push notifications, and everything's set to on for push notifications there. So don't know how to unfuck that. So there it is. And then let's pretend we did a whole draft here. So I'm just going to throw a ton of draft picks in. As you can see, the roster in the middle starts to fill up, which is pretty neat. Like, you have your bench, you have your utility player. I don't, and I should have the ability for you to be able to change. Like, let's say you want, say there's a left wing, right wing, and you want to be able to swap left wing to right wing. We should be able to do that. Let me write that down. In the my roster. That's what I named the file. And something at the end of the draft, which I think is pretty neat, that I really haven't done too much work on this, but oh my God, there's still so many features that I didn't talk about. So over here up top, as you make your picks, these bars fill up. So if you're looking at the suggested picks and you want to filter by center, this gives you a quick little alert that you have already drafted 2 out of 2 centers for this team. And if you want to look at other people's teams, you can do that as well. And then you can just real quick go back to my team or look at other people's teams. So it gives you an idea, like, you should probably aim for D right now. And what it does is it does kind of like lean right here, like cat fit, cat fit, cat fit. It knows that your team needs defensemen. So it's pushing the defenseman to the top, even though Dylan Gunther is highest rated by projected fantasy points. Matheson, Sergachev, and Morensky have the highest VORP. So they're pushing them to the front. What else? Projected by your next pick. So your next pick is supposed to be in 11 picks. This runs just purely off ADP. So it's not like any neural network or machine learning or anything like that. It's just like what positions are most likely to be drafted by the time your next pick. So right now it's projecting 4 goalies to be taken, 6 defensemen, and a center. And that, again, is literally just running down the list by ADP. So you go by ADP, there's your goalie, and the center is, there he is, Celebrini. So that's just something a little neat that I coded in that I think would hopefully provide some value. What I want to do at this point is I want to run what happens at a full draft. So if you complete your draft, up until I built this next, I call it a modal that pops up, you could just draft into infinity. So you would finish your draft and it would go for whatever. There's a summary at the end. And what it does is it shows you who the quote unquote winner of the draft is. And right now it says it's team 6 who drafted right before me. And it goes by projected points. And then down here at the bottom, you can see the leaderboard, who leads in goals, who leads in assists, power play points, shots, and goal. I want to make this sortable. So you can see where you landed, but there's some little cute little things at the end of the draft. The biggest steal. So it takes pick number 127, and then ADP is 18. So that's the biggest steal. So it just takes pick number minus ADP, and whoever has the biggest gap is apparently the biggest steal. The biggest reach is the opposite. So if you pick somebody a lot before their ADP, that shows you who picked the biggest reach, and then the biggest VORP pick. This one I need to, because like every single draft that I've run, it's always Connor McDavid, because he has the highest value over replacement at the top. So I want to do, like, if I can code in like a disparity between pick number and VORP. So, if you get the highest VORP at, pick number 138, like the VORP delta or whatever is the highest. I'm going to try to fix that code up, because it's literally always been Connor McDavid, and there's no real way to, I don't know. I haven't figured that out. But then you can look through everybody's rosters, see how they're all wound out. And if you want to, you can steal a screenshot and it'll download a PNG straight to your computer. And that's pretty fun. So I hope you guys do enjoy this draft tool. Let me know how it goes. It's not linked up on the website just yet, but if you do go to FHFhockey.com/draft-dashboard, so draft-dashboard is how you'll get there. You can test it out. Do not, at this point, use it for any real drafts. I'll say it again, because everything is loaded with last year's projections. And right now it's just a beta. So guys like Kirill Marchenko don't exist. There's Elias Pettersson and Sebastian Aho. There's 2 of them. So I have to figure out how to index for the defenseman versions of each of those names, so that they are 2 different players. Because right now I'm just like, ignore the second player. So I'll iron that out, and then I'll let you guys know. You guys can find out through the Fantasy Hockey Discord. Join there. I'll throw the link in the YouTube video. That's going to go up on our page. And thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think.